I'm Cressida Cowell, and I am the author and the illustrator of the How to Train Your Dragon books, which means I do the pictures as well, and also the Wizards of Once series. And I'm also the Waterstones Children's Laureate. Today is such an exciting day because the fourth and final book in the Wizards of Once series is now out. It's called The Wizards of Once, Never and Forever. And to celebrate, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the story, read you a chapter and set you an activity to do at school, at home, which I hope you'll really enjoy. So, The Wizards of Once, what's it about? Well, when I was young, I always secretly wanted to have a magical power. I don't know if there's anybody out there, any of you secretly want to have a magical power, and I want you to think about what your one might be. Whether it might be being invisible, going back in time, having magic that shoots out your fingers and can turn people into animals, or so many great magical powers. Or the power to see into other people's minds or other people's hearts. That would be a good one. So this is a world that I'm writing about in which that kind of magic really exists, and so do giants and sprites and all sorts of magical things. So imagine this world. This is where Wizards of Once takes place 3,000 years ago in Britain, when magic really existed. And there are, as I say, giants and sprites and werewolves in the wild woods. And it's a world, my world, that I've imagined, that is split in two. And this is the map, because there are, on the left hand of the map, all the wizards and the magic things, and all the creatures are living. And on the right hand side of the map, the warriors, the Iron Warriors. This is the end of the Bronze Ages and the beginning of Iron Ages. The Iron Warriors are invading, and they're trying to get rid of all the magic. I'll show you, some of the magic things that might. Yes, there are things in. I have a helpful bit in every book which shows you some of the magic things like hairy back rogers and gruntle ogre breaths, and jumbo frillier dreamer giants. There are all sorts of these magical creatures, and my two heroes are from opposite opposite tribes. So they've been brought up to hate each other. This is the story of a young boy wizard and a young girl warrior who've been taught since birth to hate each other like poison. Now, that's one of the heroes, that's Zar. He's a wizard boy, but he has no magic and he would do anything to get it. That's Zar. And Zar is the kind of, because the magic of wizards, you see, doesn't come in till they're about 9, 10 years old, and so you're not born with magic, and Zar hasn't got any magic yet, but he's the kind of kid who's not going to wait around for his magic to come in. He decides he's going to set a trap to catch a witch and use its magic for himself. Does that sound like a good idea? Not really, because he's very disobedient. So he means well, but this gives you, he's very disobedient. This gives you an idea of his character. In the past week, Zar had tied the beards of two of the eldest and most respectable wizards together when they were sleeping at a banquet. He had poured a love potion into the pig's feeding trough, so the pigs developed mad, passionate crushes on Zar's least favourite teacher and followed him around wherever he went, making loud, enthusiastic squealing and kissing noises. So that's the kind of person that Zar is. And Wish is from another tribe, and she is from the warrior tribe. This is Wish, but she has a magical secret, because she's not supposed to be magic at all, Wish, because the warriors are trying to get rid of all the magic, but she owns a banned magical object, and she will do anything to conceal it. And the banned magical object is a spoon that just so happens to be alive. That's Wish and her spoon. But obviously she has to keep that a secret, because warriors aren't supposed to have any magical things. And the story is about what happens when these two heroes meet, and whether or not, you see, when they meet, let's see, it's about what happens when they meet, and the story begins, they've been taught since birth to hate each other like poison, but the story begins with the discovery of a gigantic black feather. Could it be that the wizards and the warriors have been so busy fighting each other that they have not noticed the return of an ancient evil? Could that feather really be the feather of a witch? Yeah, so the witches, who are really scary, have come to the wildwoods, and can Wish and Tsar persuade their silly parents, their silly tribes, to stop fighting each other and try and fight the witches. At the opening of book 4, which is the last one, they're in a really difficult situation, because Tsar has all these sprites, you see. Tsar has all these sprites. Like, that's one of the biggest sprites. I told you there's some wonderful creatures, and that's called Ariel. And yeah, these little ones. This one's called Squeeze Juice. That's my favourite one. Can you see Squeeze Juice? He's big and so small he can almost fit on the end of your finger. But in Wizards Once, Never and Forever, he's got captured by the King Witch, and the King Witch is trying to get hold of Wish, because she's got a special magic that works on iron, and it's about whether or not Wish and Tsar can work together to kind of try and rescue poor Squeeze Juice, because he's been captured, and defeat the King Witch. The theme of this book, or this book series, is really about empathy. Do you know empathy? Empathy is a very magical thing, and it's the ability to look into somebody else's heart and see how things might feel from their point of view. And this is something that Wish is very, very good at. But, you know, these two tribes have to learn to be able to see things from each other's point of view, so that they can join together. That's really what this book is about. And it's also, in this last one, in the very first book, I've said, who is the narrator of this story? And so you've been guessing throughout the story who the narrator might be, because it could be any of the characters. And at the end, you're going to find out who is the narrator of this story, because I've been keeping that a secret, and lots of children have been writing in guessing. I'm going to read you a bit from the first chapter of this book, which is Once, Never and Forever. Wizards of Once, Never and Forever is the last in the series. It's so exciting, because things have got really tricky. The witches have taken over the wildwoods, and Tsar and Wish have had to run away from their parents, and they're looking for a spell to get rid of witches, because Tsar's sweet little sprite, oh, he's so cute, Squeeze Juice, that is Squeeze Juice, do you see, very, very sweet and small, has got captured by the King Witch. And the witches are trying to get a hold of Wish, because she's got magic that works on iron, which is a really rare kind of magic. So they're trying to get hold of her. And to make matters even worse, Tsar has got a witch stain on his hand, which is taking him to the dark side. So time is running out. It's really serious. And Tsar and Wish, though, they believe that they found a spell to get rid of witches. So they're finding it. They're finding the last ingredient. So they start out at the bottom of this mine. They're looking for the last ingredient, and they're going to try and find it at the bottom of this mine. This is my nightmare. This is a mile underground. That's where they are. A mile underground. Okay. They're so brave, looking for the last ingredient. And they suddenly discover that they've been going in the wrong direction. Bad moment. They've been going on the direction their spelling book tells them. That they've been going in a direction which says, beware of the tassel worm. And the tassel worm is not a good thing. Okay. In the tunnel behind them, this is my nightmare, 2 glowing eyes appeared. Imagine being a mile underground and 2 glowing eyes appearing. The tassel worm, part cat, part dragon, heart of darkness. They could hear the scrape of the claws on the dragon tunnel floor, this long, languorous flopper, an impossibly huge serpentine body greasing its way through the passages. Let's get out of here, yelled Wish, scuttling away on her hands and knees. Right, sensible plan. And then Bodkin followed with Zara crying after them. No, guys, no, don't run away. We have to face it. We're not running, we're crawling, panted Bodkin, who's Wish's bodyguard. So frantic with fear that he did not notice the passages he was crawling down after Wish were getting narrower and narrower. And he had to crouch lower and lower until finally he was squirming on his tummy through the dirt and the ceiling was pressing down in which, oh my goodness, he could squirm no further. He's got stuck. Okay, bad moment. He was stuck. He tried desperately to wriggle forward, to writhe forward, to wriggle backward. No, he was jammed tight like a cork in a bottle. Wish was smaller and even skinnier than Bodkin was, so she had got through that particularly narrow bit. And she and Caliburn, who's the talking raven, hauled on Bodkin's arms as hard as they could, but it was no good. Bodkin would not budge. Now Bodkin really did panic. Zara was panicking too, trying to thrust him forward. Move, screamed Zara, but Bodkin could not move, which left Zara having to face what was coming down the passages towards them, whether he wanted to or not. The dreadful smell was now so sickly near that Zara had to put his hand over his face to defend his nostrils from the ghastly poison of it. There was a horrible pause, and then, with startling suddenness, a great clawed hand came shooting out of the darkness and trapped Zara beneath it. So that's just the first chapter. And this is Wish's enchanted spoon, who's a magic made out of iron, going absolutely crazy. And in case you didn't know what an enchanted spoon looks like, this is Wish's friend. That's what an enchanted spoon looks like. Spoon moods, happy, sleepy, sad, excited. So you can see it's very, very exciting. And it just gets even more exciting. Can Wish and Zara find the spell? Can they defeat the witches, particularly the King Witch, who's really, really scary? I hope they can. And at the end of this book, you're going to find out who the narrator was. So at the beginning, I always say, I've said at the beginning of each book, I am a character. I'm the narrator. I'm a character in this story, though, and you'll have to guess who I am. So everybody's been guessing for ages who they am, who the narrator might be. But I just have to say, you can't skip to the end because I've written a big note at the end saying anyone who skipped to this epilogue, which means ending before reading the rest of the story, is a big cheat and should go right back to chapter 1, or I get really quite shirty. Because you can't skip to the end, you have to read the whole story before you find out who the narrator is. And if you've read the story, please don't tell anybody else who hasn't read the story, because it might spoil the surprise. So I'm going to now give you all an activity to do, which is something I'd have loved doing when I was a kid. So I hope you enjoy it too, which is to create your own magical creature called the Tattleworm. All you need is a paper, a pencil and a pen and your magical creative ideas, because I know you've got to come up with incredible things. I've described the Tattleworm to you, but I want you to think about what magical powers might the Tattleworm have. The Tattleworm could shoot things out of, with electricity. It could release a stink gas. Is it invisible? What's it look like? Now I'll show you how I often do quite a lot of, this is my book of dragons, which is not in the Wizards of Once series. It's more to do with How to Train Dragon, but I want to tell you how I create my magical creatures or dragons and things. I sometimes look up do research into real creatures to give me ideas. So for instance, look, this is, you know, there's a fish under the sea that has one of these lights, lives right at the bottom of the ocean. Well, I take that fish and I turned it into a giant bee-eating dragon, which goes through forests, so it's not under the sea. It's a type of dragon. So those are the kind of things, you know, ways I might think up a magical creature. But I want to have your ideas. I want to see what you can come up with. What might a tatzelworm look like? It could be really small. Oh, ignore the bit about the big clawed hand. It could be really small. That would be very surprising if it was really cute or something. Where does it live? How is it adapted to its environment? Because most creatures are adapted to their environment. You know, so if it was living in snow, it might be white like snow. You know, think about those things. Try and make it feel real. Please do ask your teacher, parent or guardian to share your incredible creations. I know you'll come up with amazing things with me on social media. @CrestaCow with the hashtag #CreateWithCress. I'd love to see what you've created. Thank you very much for joining me to celebrate the publication of Never and Forever. Happy reading and happy creating with your magic creative fingers.